Welcome back, everyone, to Classic Nostalgia Shows. Tonight, we are taking a delightful trip down memory lane, straight into the heart of early 1960s New York City. We're talking about a world of flashing patrol lights, incredible neighborhood characters, crowded sidewalks, and, honestly, one of the most lovable police comedy teams in television history. We are, of course, talking about Car 54, Where Are You?
Oh, John, just hearing that title, Car 54, Where Are You? It instantly brings a smile to my face. It conjures up images of black and white television, that incredibly catchy theme song, and just a simpler, more innocent era of comedy, you know?
Exactly. And for so many people, it's more than just a memory. This quirky little sitcom has endured for over 60 years. Why do people still watch it today? How did a comedy about two unassuming New York police officers become such a beloved television show of its era? That's what we're diving into tonight.
I can't wait. It's a show that, honestly, my grandparents watched, my parents watched, and I've watched, and it still holds up. It's fascinating.
It truly does. So grab your badge, metaphorically speaking, and let's take a ride through the Bronx of yesteryear. To really understand why Car 54 became so special, we first have to set the scene. Television in the early 1960s.
It was a completely different landscape back then, wasn't it? TV was still relatively young, a real novelty in many ways. Families would gather together, often around just one television set, to watch their favorite shows. It was a communal experience.
Absolutely. And sitcoms were rapidly becoming America's favorite form of entertainment. But if you look at a lot of the comedy shows of that era, they often focused on very specific themes. Happy families, suburban neighborhoods, domestic misunderstandings. Think Leave It to Beavers or Ozzie and Harriet.
Right, a very idealized, often very white picket fence vision of America. Very comforting, very safe.
Precisely. And then along came something completely different. A comedy set not in a cozy suburban cul-de-sac, but right in the heart of New York City. Inside a police precinct, no less. It was filled with strange characters, neighborhood chaos, and this incredible urban energy that really stood out.
And the stars weren't these glamorous heroes either. They were two very ordinary patrol officers. One thin and perpetually nervous, the other loud and, well, a little on the overweight side. That contrast alone was just comedy gold.
It truly was. It broke the mold. It showed people a different side of life, a more grounded, bustling reality, but through the lens of pure comedy. It wasn't about solving crimes in a dramatic way. It was about navigating the everyday absurdities of life in the big city.
And I think that's why it resonated so much. It felt more real, even in its exaggerated humor, because it wasn't trying to be something it wasn't. It embraced the chaos.
That's a fantastic point. And a huge reason the show worked so brilliantly, Annie, was the genius of its creator, Nat Hiken.
Oh, Nat Hiken, a true legend of television comedy. I mean, before Car 54, he'd already helped create The Phil Silver Show, which is another absolute classic. The man clearly had a knack for it.
He absolutely did. Hiken understood something fundamentally important about comedy. Funny characters matter more than complicated plots, and Car 54 was just bursting with unforgettable personalities, wasn't it?
Totally. The humor just flowed from human behavior, from misunderstandings, from the sheer absurdity of neighborhood life, and from these wonderfully exaggerated personalities. It felt chaotic, but in a strange way, it was entirely believable at the same time.
He built a world where the characters drove the jokes, rather than the jokes driving the characters. You cared about them, even when they were being completely ridiculous. And that's a testament to his writing and direction.
It gave it a heart, didn't it? It wasn't just slapstick for the sake of slapstick. There was genuine warmth, even in the most outlandish scenarios.
It certainly did, and at the absolute center of this comedic universe were officers Gunther Tootie and Francis Muldoon. Played, of course, by Joe E. Ross as Tootie and the incredible Fred Gwynne as Muldoon. They became one of television's truly great comedy duos.
Oh, Tootie and Muldoon. They were perfect together. Tootie was this loud, clumsy, impulsive guy, always confused, always getting into scrapes. And then you had Muldoon, tall and patient, very serious, and constantly hilariously embarrassed by his partner's antics.
Their chemistry just carried the show, and I think audiences loved them because they felt so human. They weren't super cops with amazing detective skills or action heroes jumping across rooftops. They were just working-class guys trying to survive the daily madness of city life.
Exactly. That relatability was such a huge part of the show's charm. You could see a bit of yourself, or your neighbor, or your crazy uncle in those characters. Their struggles and triumphs, however small, felt real.
They truly captured that everyman quality that was so prevalent in shows of that era, but with a unique urban twist. And speaking of urban, Annie, in many ways, New York City itself was the true star of the series.
Oh, absolutely. Unlike so many sitcoms that were filmed almost entirely on artificial studio sets, Car 54 just captured this incredible feeling of real city life. The Bronx of the early 1960s becomes almost like a time capsule when you watch it today.
It's true. Watching the show now, you see these old apartment buildings, neighborhood storefronts that have long since vanished, classic cars from that era, crowded sidewalks. It's a vanished version of New York City.
And that gives the series enormous nostalgia value, especially today. Even people who've never lived in New York often feel drawn to that atmosphere. The city just feels alive. It's messy, it's loud, it's funny, and it's utterly, vibrantly human.
It really does, and it's something that often gets lost in modern productions that rely so heavily on green screens and CGI. Car 54 felt authentic. It was New York, loud and proud in all its black and white glory.
You can almost smell the street vendors and hear the distant sirens. It's truly immersive for its time.
And of course, Annie, we absolutely have to talk about the theme song.
Oh, you know I was waiting for this. Few sitcom themes are as instantly recognizable as "There's a holdup in the Bronx, Brooklyn's broken out in fights."
Yes, the opening immediately pulled viewers into the heart of that urban chaos, and the title itself became so iconic, Car 54, Where Are You? Even people who've never watched the series often recognize that phrase.
That's the sign of a show that truly became a part of American pop culture. The song was catchy, it was funny, and it was absolutely unforgettable. Classic television understood the importance of a memorable opening, and Car 54 had one of the very best.
It really set the tone so perfectly. Before you even saw a scene, you knew exactly the kind of playful, bustling world you were about to enter. It's a masterclass in theme song writing.
And it's something you just can't shake, even decades later. It lives rent-free in my head sometimes, and I'm not complaining.
Me neither, Annie, me neither. Now, let's talk about something else interesting. Alea have old comedy, let's be honest, ages poorly. References become outdated, the pacing can feel incredibly slow, and sometimes the jokes just don't land anymore. But Car 54 still works surprisingly well, doesn't it?
It really does. And I think the biggest reason is because the humor was rooted in character rather than fleeting trends. Human awkwardness never goes out of style. Workplace comedy, timeless. The situations remain incredibly relatable even all these years later.
Absolutely. Annoying bosses, embarrassing mistakes, strange neighbors, general confusion, the bonds of friendship, these are universal themes. They transcend decades.
And importantly, John, the show had such warmth. Even when characters argued or behaved foolishly, the series rarely felt cruel. It wasn't mean-spirited, which is something you can't always say about some modern sitcoms built around sarcasm or cynicism.
That kindness, that genuine affection for its characters, gives the show this incredible lasting appeal. It makes it a comfort watch, something you can put on and just feel good about.
It's like a warm hug from your TV. It's gentle, it's funny, and it makes you smile without making you think too hard.
And speaking of warmth and timeless performances, we absolutely have to give a special shout-out to Fred Gwynne. Many people today, of course, recognize him from another legendary television role, don't they, Annie?
Oh, absolutely. Herman Munster. As Herman in The Munsters, Gwynne became one of television's most beloved comedy actors. He was iconic in that role, but Car 54 really helped establish him first, gave him that platform.
Exactly. What made Gwynne so special was his incredible physical presence. He was an incredibly tall man, and he was naturally funny without ever trying too hard. His reactions, his expressions, his timing, he could make scenes hilarious with just a look.
He really did. And his chemistry with Joe E. Ross as Tootie, it just gave Car 54 so much of its unique energy. They balanced each other perfectly, like a comedic yin and yang.
He had that rare ability to convey so much with so little, whether it was the exasperated eye roll as Muldoon or the wide-eyed innocence as Herman. He was a master of physical comedy and nuanced reactions.
A true comedic genius, often understated but always impactful. He just elevated every scene he was in.
He really did. Now, something else I find fascinating about Car 54 is how it serves as a window into a lost era of city life.
Oh, it's absolutely a time machine. The series preserves so much, the neighborhood culture, a very different style of city policing than we see today, early 1960s social life, and those close-knit working-class communities.
There's something incredibly comforting about that world, isn't there? People knew their neighbors, local businesses truly mattered, communities felt genuinely connected in a way that sometimes feels rarer today.
Of course, the real 1960s had plenty of problems too, we're not glossing over that. But nostalgia, by its nature, often focuses on that emotional atmosphere, that feeling, and Car 54 captures a version of urban America that just feels warm, lively, and wonderfully familiar.
It presents an idealized but not entirely inaccurate vision of community and local life that many people yearn for. It's a reminder of a time when the world felt a little smaller, a little more human-scaled.
It's a beautiful escape, really. You get to visit that simpler time, even if just for 30 minutes at a time.
So Annie, after all these years, why do you think audiences continue watching Car 54 today?
Well, partly, John, it's genuinely funny. The humor still holds up, as we discussed. But I think a huge part of it is simply because it feels so comforting. The show represents simpler television, character-driven comedy, family-friendly humor, and just pure nostalgic Americana.
It's so easy to watch, isn't it? Easy to revisit, and unlike so many modern shows that demand emotional exhaustion or incredibly complex plotlines, Car 54 just is. It doesn't ask too much of you.
Exactly. Sometimes people just want entertainment that feels pleasant and familiar, that puts a smile on their face without making them overthink. Car 54 delivers exactly that in spades.
It's a palate cleanser, a warm blanket for the soul, and that's an incredibly valuable thing in today's fast-paced, often stressful world.
It absolutely is. It's the kind of show you can leave on in the background or sit down and actively enjoy, and either way, you're going to feel a little bit better.
So, looking at its broader impact, Car 54 Where Are You really helped influence generations of television comedy. You can see traces of it in later workplace comedies about police departments, about public employees, about those wonderfully dysfunctional partnerships.
Oh, its DNA is definitely in countless sitcoms that followed. You can trace that lineage directly from Car 54 to other beloved shows. It really laid some groundwork.
But perhaps its greatest legacy, Annie, is simpler than that. The show reminds us of a very different era of television, an era where humor felt gentler, where characters felt neighborly, and where comedy truly focused on personality instead of shock value or extreme situations.
And decades later, audiences still respond to that warmth, don't they? Because good comedy, like good nostalgia, it never truly disappears. It just finds new generations to charm.
Car 54 Where Are You may have begun as a simple black-and-white sitcom about two patrol officers in the Bronx, but it became something much, much larger. A time capsule, a comfort show, a beautiful reminder of television's golden age. And even today, when viewers hear that famous title shouted over the radio,
they still smile every single time. It's just inevitable.
They do. Thanks for joining me tonight on Classic Nostalgia Shows. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment sharing your own memories of Car 54, and let us know which classic television series or movie legend we should explore next. Until next time,
keep the classics alive, everyone.